You just got a return request. What do you do now? How dare somebody actually want to return one of my beautiful, perfect items? You know what? Returns happen. And as a business owner, you need to know how you are to be dealing with them on each individual platform, because the platforms are a little bit different. Hi everyone, my name is Leanna and I am a full-time reseller, and today we are talking about returns on eBay, on Vinted, and on Poshmark. If you like this content, please subscribe. I'm uploading Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, all reseller content. And if you actually like that kind of content, please give me a thumbs up. We are going to start with eBay returns, just because that's where I wanted to start. eBay is interesting because a lot of the control about returns does rest with the seller, which I love. I love that eBay gives you the opportunity to be more in control of your business. So on eBay, your listings could have no returns, buyer pays return shipping, or absolutely free returns. And each individual policy has its pros and cons. We're not really going to get into that so much because we're really going to just talk about what happens after you get a request for a return. So you get this return request, you get a notification from eBay. Please note that if you have no returns on your listing, if the return request is about an item not as described, an INAD, then you still have to deal with it, and you may actually have to take the return. Just keep that in mind. You get the return request notification. eBay likes the seller to deal with it. They want you to resolve it with the buyer. They don't want to step in. So you have 3 business days in order to respond and resolve the return request. So you work with the buyer. If after 3 days or coming up to the 3-day period, you're still not coming to a resolution, or you're having issues with the buyer or whatever, you as the seller can ask eBay for advice and to step in to sort of help you resolve it. And there's no ramifications to that. That is what they're there for. I know we have a callback button that we just say, hey, can you call me? And they do get back to us. They're usually fairly quick as well. And I know that in the last year or so, most of our dealings with the representatives have been very positive. Okay, so this is what eBay wants you to do. They want you to resolve it. If you can't, you can call them in. That's cool. If you ignore the return request, if you don't even attempt to engage the buyer in order to fix it or anything, you ignore it completely, then after 3 days, eBay will step in and they will side with the buyer, and they will refund the money, and they will come after you for that money. It is never a good idea on eBay to ignore a return request, because not only does eBay not like coming in to solve your problems for you, you will get a defect on your account. And if you have too many defects, you do run the risk of losing your account, whether it's your seller status or whatever, but your entire account as well. It's something that eBay is very stringent about, and maybe some people might think they're even a little bit too stringent, but they're stringent. These are the rules, and you have to stick to them. And that is something on eBay that you need to remember. They watch what you are doing, and there are repercussions and consequences. So never ever ignore a return request. Try your best to work it out. If, like I said, if you have no returns, but it's an INAD, you may still have to deal with returning it. If you have buyer pays shipping, return shipping, you know what, that's cool. But even when you have free returns, it doesn't matter. You just take back everything. So think about it when you're doing your policy. Look into it and figure out what is best for your business. So that's eBay. On Vinted. Now, on Vinted, honestly, I have not had a return request yet. So I just went through the terms of service to find out what their policies are. So similar to eBay, they have 72 hours. So if you get a return request on Vinted, you have 72 hours in order to deal with it. If you accept the request, the return, then the buyer has only 3 days to ship it back to you. Now, I don't know who pays for the return shipping? That's something that I did not find out. If you know that answer, please leave it down below in the comments so we can all learn. But I know that I did know that if you accept the return, the buyer has 3 days to ship the item back. Side note, unlike eBay, where the buyer has 30 days to ship it back. Anyway, onwards. If you reject the return request on Vinted, then the support team will step in and look at the case and make a decision. If you ignore the request, completely ignore it, then again, support will step in and look at the case and make a decision. From my readings on Vinted, I did not see that they will automatically side with the buyer, so they will look at the case to begin with. And I don't think there's any repercussions to having support step in. I didn't notice that on the terms of service at all on Vinted. So that's Vinted. It's kind of similar, but because it makes you as the seller take responsibility and deal with it yourself. Poshmark is a whole different ball of wax. You, as a buyer, you get your item and you have 3 days in order to accept the item or to open a case. After 3 days, you're out of luck. If you're not happy, you open a case. And basically, you open the case, you state your case, you say, this item is blah, blah, blah. And maybe you upload pictures, whatever. The seller, got backwards there, the seller then has a chance to review what you said and rebut it if they so want to. They can upload photos as well. Poshmark makes the final decision. Very little control is held by the seller on Poshmark. The only way to sort of get around that is if you have made a mistake, for instance, if you send out a pair of shoes that you listed as a size 6 and yet they are a size 9, and yes, I've done that, and you realize that yes, you are at fault and you made a mistake, you can say, absolutely, I made this mistake. I am sorry to the buyer. I am sorry, Poshmark. I will accept the return. And it's sort of an open shut case. You do their work for them, which is fine. If you want to fight the claim that a Poshmark buyer has made, you absolutely can do that. I would suggest that you not get into a back and forth with the buyer, and that's really hard, especially when you think the buyer is lying or they maybe have buyer's remorse and are making something up. And this is just what's happening to me right now. But you can rebut that and you can fight it back and sort of stay detached. Don't get into a back and forth with the buyer because I think it's very unprofessional. And I know it's hard. It's frustrating, especially if the buyer is attacking you. If the buyer is saying, hey, the seller lied, blah, 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 it's very difficult not to fight back in that sense. With the case that I have right now, a buyer bought a bundle of items and I sent them out at the beginning of the month, and it took her almost 3 weeks in order to pick this up, which was like, are you kidding me? Like, they sat in the box from the 4th of July until the 23rd of July, and now she is saying that there is a slight musty smell to the dry clean only top. And I'm assuming this. I don't know if this is correct, but I have a feeling that she didn't know the top was dry clean only, even though I do put that picture in my listing, and she's not happy with that. So she is making up something that really can't be proven or disproven and wanting to get her money back. She wants to return everything because she didn't like the dry clean. If that's true, I don't know. But honestly, I didn't know how to respond. And I honestly wanted to just ignore it. I was tired with dealing with this customer. There was just something off, and I didn't want to engage with this customer at all. And I honestly thought about ignoring the case, because on Poshmark, there are no ramifications. If you ignore a case, Poshmark's making the final decision anyway. You can ignore it, and there's no defects, there's no nothing on your account. So you can ignore on Poshmark. If you fight back, which I decided to do with this case, I detached myself from the buyer. I'm not engaging the buyer at all. I addressed my comment to Poshmark and said, good morning, Poshmark. I wash and steam everything before shipping. Therefore, there shouldn't be a smell. And these items were sent on July the 4th and were not picked up till almost 3 weeks later. Perhaps sitting in a box wrapped in plastic produced a smell. Only because I know my business practices and I wanted to stand up and defend my business practices. I don't send out dirty clothes. I don't send out things that smell because I do wash and or steam everything. But smell is a perception, and it's one of those things that you can't really prove or disprove. I can say the buyer is not happy, and that's fine for whatever reason that is, but I'm not going to just sit back and take that return, especially since she waited almost 3 weeks to pick it up. That alone tells me that she wasn't excited to get these items. So, anyway, on Poshmark, because I digressed, on Poshmark holds the final last say on cases, period. Yes, as a seller, you can say you will accept the return, but that's all the power you have, which I like, but I don't like, because I think if they left it up to the seller, like on eBay, if it's up to us to resolve it, I think they would end up with a lot more drama, a lot more back and forth and name calling and finger pointing on Poshmark. That's my take on it. So I don't mind that Poshmark has the final say. I just wish that they would be a little bit quicker in their decisions, because, I've had history where it's taken a week for them to decide a case. So anyway, we're waiting on that one. So on eBay, it's a lot of seller responsibility. You get to resolve it, and eBay likes that the most. On Vinted, it's kind of the same, only support will jump in and there's no ramifications for that, which is cool. And I like that on Vinted, it's 3 days for the buyer to send back the item. Love that. On Poshmark, there really are not any rules. You can ignore a case if you want. You can fight back if you want. There are no, if the case gets cited on the side of the buyer, I don't think there's even a time frame that they have to ship it back. I would assume it's probably the same as what we have, which is, I think, 5 days. Poshmark likes us to ship within 5 days. That's in terms of service. So it might be something like that, but it's no hard and fast rule, which is a lot about Poshmark, But yeah, that's it. I think, returns happen, and if you remain professional and detach yourself from it, it's not a personal attack. And even though it can be frustrating and you can be angry about it, you kind of have to step back and go, okay, these are the facts, and deal with it that way. That's it for today. I hope everybody has a fantastic week, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.